1. Introduction. My name is Claudia. I am 18 years old. I live in a small town where life is mostly calm. My main goal right now is to study very hard. I want to get into a good college after I finish high school. This is a big dream for me, and I know it needs a lot of effort. I spend many hours every day reading books, doing homework, and preparing for tests. I believe that a good education will help me have a good future. Among all my school subjects, math is the most challenging for me. I try my best to understand numbers and formulas, but sometimes it feels very difficult. Because of this struggle, I knew I needed extra help to improve my math skills. My school teacher, Mrs. Pam, offered to help me. She is a wonderful person, very kind and very smart. She teaches math to many students at our school. She also provides special private lessons for students who need more support. I was happy to become one of her private students. My math lessons with Mrs. Pam take place at her home. I go there 2 times every week. My lessons are scheduled for Tuesday afternoons and Friday afternoons, right after my regular school day ends. Her house is quite large and always very quiet. This calm environment is perfect for studying. It helps me concentrate fully on the math problems that I find so hard. During my first visits to Mrs. Pam's house, I met her husband. His name is Nicholas. He is a tall man with soft brown hair. His eyes look calm and friendly. Often, when I ring the doorbell, Nicholas is the one who opens the door. He always greets me with a warm smile and a polite hello. From my first impressions, he seemed like a very nice and respectful man. I often saw Nicholas in the living room. He was usually reading newspapers or sometimes a book. He also liked to make tea. Many times, he would bring tea for Mrs. Pam and me while we were having our lesson. I thought he was a very kind and quiet person. I believed that Mrs. Pam and Nicholas were a happy couple living a peaceful life together in their nice home. I felt completely safe and comfortable in their house as I worked to improve my math. I was focused only on my studies, hoping to succeed and get into college. 2. The lessons at home. The math lessons with Mrs. Pam started. I went to her house every Tuesday and Friday afternoon. I sat at a big wooden table in her quiet study room. I opened my math book, ready to learn. Mrs. Pam was a very good teacher. She was patient and kind in her explanations. She always made sure I understood the math problems clearly. She would often say, "Claudia, you are a good student. You can do great things if you work hard." Her encouraging words made me feel confident and strong. I always felt safe and comfortable when she was teaching me. Her husband, Nicholas, often came into the room during our lessons. He walked quietly and politely. He usually brought us snacks and drinks. Sometimes it was warm cookies fresh from the oven. Other times, it was cold juice or a cup of tea. He placed them gently on the table between us. He always offered a kind smile and said, "You both work very hard. Please take a break and enjoy these." I always said, "Thank you, Nicholas," feeling that he was just being friendly and helpful to his wife's student. This was our routine for the first few weeks. Everything felt normal and calm, like a regular study session. But then, after about 4 or 5 weeks, things slowly started to change. Nicholas began to talk more than before. He did not just bring snacks and leave. He started to stay in the room for a little while longer. He began to ask me different kinds of questions. He would ask me, "How was your day at school today, Claudia?" Or, "What do you like to do after your lessons are finished?" I answered him politely, but I started to feel a little unsure about these new conversations. They were not about math or schoolwork. One time he looked at me and asked, "Do you have a boyfriend, Claudia?" I was surprised by the question. I laughed a little, feeling a bit shy, and said, "No, I don't. I only study very hard for college right now." He smiled at my answer, but his smile felt different from before. He looked at me for a long time, his eyes staying on my face. This made me feel strange and a little uncomfortable inside. I did not like it when he looked at me like that. I tried to focus on my math book. I tried to listen to Mrs. Pam's explanations. But sometimes I could still feel his eyes on me. His questions felt too personal, and I did not understand why he was asking them. I just wanted to do my math and then go home. 3. Something feels strange. One day during my math lesson, Mrs. Pam received a phone call. She needed to answer it. She told me, "I will be back soon, Claudia." Then she left the room. I was alone in the quiet room. I kept writing my math problems. The house was very quiet. I could hear only the sound of my pen on the paper. I felt a little strange to be alone in the big house. The clock on the wall ticked slowly. After a few minutes, Nicholas walked into the room. He carried 2 cups. They were full of hot tea. He came closer to the table. He put 1 cup in front of me. The tea smelled sweet. "You should take a short break," he said. "Tea is good for thinking and relaxing." I thanked him. My voice was a little soft. I felt a bit shy. He did not leave the room. Instead, he sat down in the chair across from me. The table was between us. The room felt even quieter now with just the 2 of us. I looked at my math book. I did not know where to look. I felt my cheeks get a little warm. He spoke again. His voice was soft. "You are very smart for your age, Claudia," he said. I looked up for a moment. "Thank you," I answered. I tried to smile. I felt a little proud of his words. They felt kind at first, but he did not stop there. He looked at me for a long time. His eyes were on my face. Then he said, "You are also very pretty." This made me feel very different. My heart made a big jump in my chest. It felt like a bird trying to fly out. I did not know what to say. I could not find any words. I looked down at my math book again. My face felt warm. The silence in the room became long. It was not a comfortable silence. It felt heavy and full of unspoken things. I wished Mrs. Pam would come back quickly. Every second felt like a minute. I kept my eyes on my book. I pretended to read the numbers, but I was not really reading. I was just feeling strange. My stomach felt a little funny and tight. Then I heard footsteps. Mrs. Pam came back into the room. She looked at us and smiled. "Sorry about that," she said. "It was a long call." I felt so happy to see her. A big wave of relief went through me like cool water. Nicolas stood up from his chair. He walked out of the room quietly without another word. Mrs. Pam sat down again. She picked up her pen. "Where were we?" she asked. I tried to focus on the math problem, but it was hard. My hands felt cold, even though the room was warm. My mind kept thinking about his words. "You are also very pretty." Why did he say that? It did not feel like a normal compliment from a friendly person. It felt wrong. I could not forget the way he looked at me. My lesson continued, but something had changed. Something felt strange now, inside me and in the quiet house. The gifts. After that day, things began to feel different. Nicolas often found more reasons to talk to me alone. Sometimes he would come into the living room while I was studying. He would ask about my school day or my plans for the weekend. I tried to answer quickly and then look back at my math book. I often wished Mrs. Pam was there, but sometimes she was in another room or making tea. One Tuesday, I came for my lesson. Mrs. Pam was not in the room yet. Nicolas was waiting at the door. He had a small box in his hand. He smiled and held it out to me. "This is for you, Claudia," he said, "for all your hard work." I looked at the box. It was blue with a silver ribbon. I felt a strange mix of surprise and worry. I did not know what to say. He pushed the box gently into my hand. "Go on, open it," he said. Inside, there was a thin, silver bracelet. It had a small star charm. My hands felt cold when I took the box. I mumbled, "Thank you, Nicolas." He looked pleased. I did not want to take the gift. It felt wrong. He was my teacher's husband, not my friend. Why was he giving me a bracelet? I thought about refusing, but his eyes were on me. I did not want to be rude. So I just held it tightly and put it in my bag when Mrs. Pam came back into the room. I tried to act normal during the lesson, but my mind kept thinking about the bracelet. That night at home, I took the bracelet out of my bag. It was pretty, but it did not feel like a happy gift. It felt heavy. I thought about what it meant. Was it just a kind gesture, or was it something else? I decided I could not wear it. It did not feel right. I put it in a drawer under some clothes. The next week, I went back for my lesson. I tried to forget about the bracelet. I hoped Nicolas would not ask about it, but he did. During a break, he looked at my wrist. "You are not wearing my gift," he said. His voice was soft, but his eyes were not. I felt my heart beat faster. I quickly said, "Oh, I forgot it today. I am so sorry." It was a lie. He just laughed a little, but his eyes looked very cold. They made me feel scared. I wanted to go home right then. I did not like the way he looked at me. 5. The talk with Mrs. Pam. One afternoon, after our math lesson, I decided it was time. I needed to talk to Mrs. Pam. My heart beat fast in my chest, but I knew I had to be brave. I waited until all the other students had left the room. Then I carefully asked her, "Mrs. Pam, can I speak with you for a moment, please?" She looked at me with a gentle smile and said, "Of course, Claudia. What is on your mind?" We sat down at the large wooden table. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my thoughts. "It's about Nicolas," I began, my voice a little shaky. I told her everything, slowly and clearly. I explained how he often brought snacks and drinks during our lessons. I mentioned how he started asking personal questions, like if I had a boyfriend. I told her about the specific day she was on the phone, and he sat with me, bringing tea. I explained that he told me I was not just smart, but also very pretty, and how that compliment made me feel very uncomfortable and scared inside. Finally, I told her about the small bracelet he gave me. I explained that I did not want to wear it because it felt wrong. I also told her how his eyes looked cold when he noticed I was not wearing it the next week. I finished by saying, "I just feel very uncomfortable, Mrs. Pam." Mrs. Pam listened to every word. Her friendly smile slowly left her face. When I finished, she did not look at me directly. Instead, she looked down at her hands on the table. After a long moment of silence, she finally spoke. Her voice was soft, but it held a tone of disbelief. "Oh, Claudia," she said, "Nicolas is just a very friendly person. He likes to help all my students. He is simply kind, you see. Perhaps you do not understand him very well." Her words hit me hard. I felt a tight knot form in my stomach. I wanted her to understand my fear. I wanted her to believe my feelings. But she clearly did not. Her words made me feel very small and unimportant, as if my worries were silly. I felt so confused. How could she not see what I saw? How could she not believe me when I was telling her the truth? She must have seen the sadness on my face. She reached across the table and gently put her hand over mine. "Don't worry, Claudia," she repeated. "You are completely safe here with us. Nicolas would never, ever do anything bad." But her words did not make me feel safe at all. In fact, they made me feel even worse and more alone. I felt so deeply hurt by her lack of understanding. I nodded my head weakly, but inside, my heart was breaking. I knew then, with absolute certainty, that I could not come back to her house for lessons. That night I lay in my bed and hot tears streamed down my face. The mere thought of going back made me feel a deep, chilling fear. I knew I had to find a different way to study math, far from that house. 6. The distance. After talking to Mrs. Pam, I felt very sad. Her words made me feel small. I knew I could not go back to her house. My heart told me it was not a safe place for me anymore. I thought about Nicola's and his cold eyes. I decided I had to stop the lessons there. It was a clear decision in my mind. The next day, I talked to my parents. This was hard. I told them, I do not feel comfortable going to Mrs. Pam's house for lessons anymore. My mother and father looked at me. They asked, "Why, dear?" I just said, "I just do not feel good there. I need a new tutor." They saw that I was serious. They did not ask many questions. They trusted me. This made me feel a little better. My mother started looking for a new math tutor right away. She called different people. After a few days, she found someone new. Her name was Miss Lee. Miss Lee taught lessons at her own small office. I felt happy about this. It was a new start for my math studies. A few days later, Mrs. Pam called my home phone. My mother answered first. Then she gave the phone to me. Mrs. Pam asked, "Claudia, why have you not come for your lessons?" I took a deep breath. I said, "Hello, Mrs. Pam, I am busy now. I have found another teacher for my math lessons." There was a short silence on the phone. Then Mrs. Pam's voice sounded cold. She said, "All right, Claudia, good luck with your studies." She hung up quickly. I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. I never went to Mrs. Pam's house again. The Tuesdays and Fridays I used to spend there were now free. I started going to Miss Lee's office. It was different, but it felt much safer. Sometimes, when I walked on the street near Mrs. Pam's house, I would see Nicola's car parked outside. My heart would beat faster. I would quickly look away and walk faster. I did not want to see him. I did not want to remember the way his eyes looked. I wanted to put that time behind me. I felt a great distance grow between me and that house, and a sense of peace came over me. 7. The gossip. Many months passed. I did not go to Mrs. Pam's house anymore. I focused on my new math lessons. One afternoon, I saw my friend Maria walking home from school. We stopped to talk. Maria looked serious. She asked, "Did you hear about Mrs. Pam?" My heart felt a little fast. I said, "No, what happened?" Maria told me there was a lot of talk in town. People were saying that Mrs. Pam and her husband, Nicola's, were having big problems. Some friends of Maria's parents said Nicola's had lost his job. He was not working anymore. Others said Mrs. Pam was very unhappy. They said she did not want Nicola's at home, and maybe he had moved out. I did not know if these stories were true. Gossip can be wrong. But many people were talking about it. When I heard this news, I felt two different things. First, I felt a little sad for Mrs. Pam. She was my teacher and helped me with math. Even though she did not believe me about Nicola's, I remembered her kindness. Nobody wants marriage problems or for their husband to lose his job. I hoped she would be okay and find peace. Then I felt proud of myself. I remembered how uncomfortable I had felt at their house. I remembered the strange looks, the personal questions, and the gift. My stomach always felt bad when Nicola's was near. My heart always jumped. I had listened to those feelings. I had trusted what my body and mind told me. It was not easy to say no to Mrs. Pam. It was not easy to tell my parents I did not want to go back. But I did it. I chose to leave. I chose to be safe. I chose to listen to my own inner voice, even when it was difficult. Hearing this gossip now about Mrs. Pam and Nicola's made me feel that my feelings were right all along. It showed me I was strong enough to protect myself. It was a big lesson. I was glad I trusted my own feelings and walked away from a situation that felt wrong. This made me feel very sure about myself and my decisions. 8. What I learned. Now I study with my new tutor. She is kind, and I feel safe with her. My math grades are much better now. I am happy with my progress in school. I still want to go to a good college. I work hard every day, and I know I can reach my dream. My future feels bright and full of hope. The time at Mrs. Pam's house feels very far away now. It is like a memory from another life. Sometimes I think about the quiet study room. I remember the smell of hot tea and the sound of my pencil on paper. These memories are not strong anymore. They are like old pictures. They do not make me feel scared today. They are just a part of my past story. That experience taught me many important things. The biggest lesson was not about math. It was about life itself. I learned to always trust my own feelings. If something feels wrong, I must listen to that feeling. It is important to be brave and to speak up for myself. My inner voice is a good guide. I should always pay attention to it. I also learned about people. Sometimes people can look kind on the outside. They can smile and say nice words. But inside, their thoughts might not be good. Their actions might not be honest. True kindness comes from the heart. It is important to see past the outside and understand what is real about a person. This helps me be more careful and wise in the future. Another lesson was about believing myself, even when others do not. When I told Mrs. Pam my truth about her husband, she did not believe me. That made me feel sad and small. But I did not let her words change what I knew was true. I believed myself and my own feelings. This was a very strong lesson for me. It showed me that my own voice is important. My feelings are important. I am Claudia. I am 18 years old. I am much stronger now because of everything that happened. I learned to be careful with people. I learned to trust my heart and my instincts. I learned to speak my truth, even when it is difficult. These lessons will stay with me forever. They are more important than any math problem. They are lessons for life, and I will always remember them.